Good morning, alien enthusiasts, and welcome to a very special Angry Alien Bulletin. I am sitting at a bus stop, actually trying to shelter from some surprisingly cool wind here in Australia, in Melbourne, the Westall suburb, actually, of Melbourne, on a very, very busy street. And behind me is Westall Secondary College, or at least that's what it's called today, a primary school where young students have attended class for well over half a century. But on April 6th of 1966, the students at this school experienced something very unusual indeed, something extraordinary that dozens of them have been unable to forget to this day. And I'm going to have the opportunity to interview a witness of this extraordinary event that took place not at the school, but in a nature reserve behind me. It's called The Grange, and it was in this location that something very odd, a UFO, landed in front of dozens of witnesses whose stories have remained consistent and unchanged to this very day. All right, folks, here we are. We're here at the Grange, where the vast majority of this extraordinary sighting took place. Sir, would you be so kind as to introduce yourself, Colin, to the viewers?
Yeah. Good morning. I'm Colin Kelly. I'm one of the original Westall UFO witnesses, or flying saucers in our case at the time, from 1966.
So we've had an opportunity before we're talking here to actually look at the site. We're going to see that here in just a moment, folks. Just some astonishing things that are present even today after all this time. But what else do you want the viewers to know about this experience? And it took 40 years before you really started talking extensively about it. So what do you want to make sure people know about this experience and what it meant to you?
Well, the most prominent thing is that I can say is it did happen. And courtesy of government cover-ups along the way, we have been restricted in the information that's been available to us to really tell our story.
Now, the story that Colin is referring to is perhaps the largest scale and most well-documented UFO sighting that has ever taken place in the Southern Hemisphere, when a UFO appeared in broad daylight on April the 6th, 1966, in front of nearly 200 witnesses, dozens of whom remain alive today, and all of those witnesses maintain the same story. And according to Colin, although we did not get it right in terms of where exactly the UFO sat down in proximity to the school, nor did we get it right when it comes to the overland view of the region, because so many changes have taken place and Google Maps doesn't show what the area looked like back in 1966. The UFO itself, Digital Voodoo, our animator, got very, very right in terms of the lights, in terms of the shape, essentially two pie plates stuck together, and the way that it moved through the sky. But as I mentioned before, it didn't set down on school property, but rather the kids had to chase after it. And this is where our story begins. So how old were the students who attended this school at the time?
The maximum age at that stage probably would have been 12 to 15.
Okay.
And obviously it was in the very infant stage of existence, because we only had up to level 4 students. At the time of the sighting, I was in level 2.
Okay.
So I was only in my second year at the school.
Gotcha.
I was in my first 2 periods of school at the time, and I was out on the sporting field, doing physical education, and looked up over my shoulder, and lo and behold, there's these 3 objects to say, what on earth is going on here?
So you're behind these buildings, right? And in like a
I was out on the
field
oval,
behind it? Right.
and where we're driving now, and obviously due to progress, this was a market garden on our right-hand side.
So none of these houses
None
were
of these
here at the
houses were
time?
here.
Okay.
And this road was actually 150 metres to my right-hand side. Yeah.
So what was it like living around here back in 1966 as a kid, compared to what it is today?
Very carefree. And now, to where, if we look over on our left-hand side here now, probably about 30 metres in, I was, that's where I was actually standing when this.
So you were over in this field,
field,
right?
This you can see this power tower up in front of me.
Right.
Now, probably just to the left of that tower, and about 50 metres above that tower was where the craft were located, and they were there for a fair while. They were we got the stage where aeroplanes, Cessna type planes, that were circling around the planes at that stage, and
So they're aircraft as well?
oh yeah,
Okay.
Cessna type planes. They were just circling the craft, and then all of a sudden one of them disappeared over the back of the Grange, where these houses are now. That was another market garden, and then behind and beside that was just bushland.
And did they? Was there any noise associated with their movement?
I just detected the thing that attracted me to it was a very light hum. Not really loud, but it was enough to gain my attention. And then they stopped those power lines, and I've always run the question of why schools, because there are other cases of schools sightings,
Right.
and why over the power lines? Were they having a problem, and were they powering up off the power lines? I don't know. I honestly don't know, but it's a thought that's always entered my mind.
So about how far over the tops of these power lines were they?
About 50 metres.
50 meters? Okay.
Yeah. And the actual approximate size of the craft was, I thought they were about 8 metres, around about 8 metres.
So not that big, really. I mean,
8 metres. There were three of them. One was larger, and the other two, they were smaller. One on either side.
and what? How did they move? Was it a smooth kind of motion? Did they change direction regularly, or?
Initially, when they came over, they just drifted over. But once the aeroplanes came into play, hang on, I'll let this car through. It was almost like they were toying with with these aircraft, and they were playing with them. They were going up and down and zigzagging out. And at the time when they eventually disappeared, it was almost like they'd had enough, and they just turned up on the 45 degree and just went bang, gone, absolutely gone. And they went at a speed that no aircraft at the time would have been able to compete with them. The nearest thing we had here in Australia was the F111's aircraft.
Right.
And they would not have gone with them. They just went woof and gone, But as it drifted over to the back of the disappearing. They drifted over to the back of the Grange, which we will go to.
And were any of these houses here, or was this all wild land?
It was all wild land.
Okay, so you had to cross over all that.
Yep.
To follow them, which I'm assuming you did, and you weren't alone, right? There were kids with you?
Definitely.
How many, roughly?
Well, the school, it's reported that there were over 200 witnesses, and the group that I was in, there was probably about 6 of us, and but then there was students spread all over the grounds, and they come out of the classrooms, and they skipped over that back fence, and just run down to where this was. Now, this is the pine tree area, part of it, and we will get down into the scrub part of where we.
Now, you were, of course, I assume this would be an area that you would have played in a lot, right, when you were young?
This was our backyard.
Right. So it's very easy for you to move through the trees, move through the underbrush, that sort of thing, and keep up with them.
We knew it very, very well, the area.
Right,
and,
sure.
They used to have, probably on BMX times these days, they used to have what they used to call scramble motorbike races down here. And then consequently it was named the Grange.
So clearly this event that took place nearly 60 years ago has left a permanent effect on the surrounding area and the people who live here. We have obvious evidence of the Westall event and markers everywhere commemorating that, along with a children's playground set that resembles a flying saucer. But not only that, the locals have also established a deep respect with space-related accomplishments, space flight, and also the solar system, which I found to be a wonderful thing. The fact that a direct connection was being made between UFO sightings and space exploration, because, well, in my opinion, what UFOs are little more than alien equivalents of Voyager 1 and 2. I may be wrong about that, but in my opinion, that's what we're dealing with here. So, what was the general, the emotions of you and the other kids? Obviously, you were chasing after these things, so clearly you were intrigued, but, were you frightened at the same time?
No, not we weren't. You've got to remember there was 2 schools, the Westall Primary School, which those kids are probably 8, 9, 10-year-old. The reports are that they were very traumatised. You go over to the high school and you're talking teenagers,
right?
Who are a little bit more boisterous,
sure,
and a little bit more adventurous. And we were being told, don't go. That went out the window, and kids just piled over the back fence and of the school and come down to the Grange.
And was it the teacher saying don't go? Yes. They were concerned for your safety?
Yes.
Okay. Did any teachers come with you?
They were trying to keep control.
Sure.
No, they didn't.
Wow.
No, they didn't venture out of the school grounds.
That's a bit surprising, yeah. How long was it before you started talking about this a lot to others? Was it right away, or did it take a certain number of years before you started telling your story to people like me?
Probably about 40 years.
40? 40.
Years.
Now, in terms of, in 1966, here in Westall, in Melbourne, here at the southern end of the world, essentially, how often do people talk about UFOs? UFOs had only been a thing for less than 20 years in the United States. There's no internet in those days, obviously. Television, I guess Doctor Who had just come out 3 years prior to that. Yeah. The Daleks and all that. I don't know how much they showed that here in Australia. But how present was the concept of UFOs in the minds of kids at that time?
Non-existent.
Right.
We had never come flying saucers. Not UFOs, not UAPs.
Right.
We call them flying saucers.
Right.
And if you're looking at a description of them, I actually did this. We were sitting down one day and I just picked up 2 saucers off cup and saucer, and I put them up like that, and I said, "What do you reckon?" And they said, "Yes, that's
That's about it.
Like."
So can you show me where
Yeah,
it's...
let's go from
Yeah, let's have a look and
Yeah.
see. So you're still chasing them,
Yep.
and you had seen them descend behind the trees at
Yep.
that stage. You lost sight of them for a moment, is that right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay. And so off we went into the Grange, and one thing that I found to be really intriguing about this experience was the fact that this area hadn't changed much at all since the 1960s. Indeed, I don't think this wilderness area has changed much over the last several centuries, if not millennia. And as the undergrowth and foliage became more and more dense, and as it became more and more difficult to see anything more than a few meters ahead of you, it became very clear as to how a flying saucer might have set down behind all of this undergrowth and all of this foliage without being seen if you didn't know exactly where it was. And also, interestingly enough, according to Colin, there were already Army troops in the area who were cordoning off the region where the flying saucer, UFO, whatever you want to call it, was setting down. And Colin and his school friends managed to slip past all of these soldiers and made their way to the landing site. There was no sound to be made aside from this low humming sound, but apparently that was enough to lead Colin and his friends to this site. And by the way, many of these friends are still alive today. They continue to relate the same story that Colin did. The story remains consistent between all of the witnesses, and what happened once they finally came to the end of this path was one of the strangest stories that I had ever heard, not necessarily because it differed so much from other UFO-related close encounters, but because to this day there is still a physical remnant of the landing site. Things have not changed in all of these years. There's still physical evidence that something set down in this location, something that left a permanent effect on the very land that it touched.
Now I want you to walk through.
Sure.
See that bare space there?
All right.
That's it.
So this is where they were.
Yes.
And so how close did you get?
I was back in the scrub. Terry Peck, who was Terry Clark at the time, she actually got right up here.
Right up on them.
Right up on them. Yeah.
How are you overcoming your trepidation, your fear over these?
I think
You're just so excited.
excited, but I think Terry, once she got down here, she was starting to think, what have I got myself into?
Right.
Here? I've spoken to Terry many times in the past, and she said she just felt like a bit of heat coming off it.
So there's some heat.
But she said she got up and it was just hovering just above the above ground level.
So they never actually set down on
It's
landing
possible,
gear.
Possible it did. Well,
But you didn't see it.
I didn't see that. Yeah, there were marks around the thing, so it's obviously did come down to ground level.
Well, I have to say, and
Yeah.
of course, it's easy to imagine these things, but it looks different through here now. I mean,
We're
how is
talking
this?
60 years.
Right,
60
right.
years ago, and nothing has ever grown here since.
It just, it seems like it's just visibly very different. I mean, could that just be somebody mucking about, somebody coming out here and intentionally messing with it over all this time?
You're looking at the scrub that's behind us.
Right. It's very different.
It's very different to what you're seeing right here. This is it.
That's really, I did not expect that. I did not expect things to be so visually different. And I'm assuming this soil's been tested.
I would like to think they have, but
But to your knowledge, nobody's come out here and actually
not that I know.
tested this. Now, upon hearing that no chemical tests might have been carried out on this strangely blighted area, I can neither confirm nor deny that I took a sample of soil from this blighted region to be subsequently tested by people that I might or might not know. I will keep you up to date on that situation, which may or may not exist at this time. But let's go ahead and see what else Colin had to say about his experience and what it means to him today.
This happened to us courtesy of misadventure. We didn't go looking for it. It came to us. And we just happened to have either been in the right or the wrong time at that correct time. We're in the right place. And we probably been fortunate. Maybe we're here to tell a story, and we're continuing to find out. We will eventually be proven correct in what we actually saw, but to this stage we're still searching for answers 60 years on.
After all this time, have you, or to your knowledge, any of the other witnesses experienced anything else?
Very minor. Nothing of significance to what we experienced at the time.
That being the case, then, I mean, you've talked to me a bit about how you had success in sport. You became a plumber and such, had a career, had a life after this, etc. But something made you talk after those 40 years. So obviously, this is something that stuck with you. So tell me a little bit more about how this stuck with you, and I mean, was it something that was always in the back of your mind, or just something that you remembered, maybe every year or something like that on the anniversary, something along those lines, before the 40th anniversary came up?
April the 6th, it's something that has always been on my mind. I, along with the majority of the others, actually did move on with our lives, and because we didn't think at the time that this was going to be as significant as, or have the effect to what it has grown today. And obviously, we're not alone in experiencing these things. We're very fortunate in the fact that we're still alive to talk about it. We do a gathering here at the Grange every year, as close to the April the 6th on the Saturday, closest to tell the story. It is gathering momentum. Last year we had over 70 attendees, and 3 film crews came to film it. It's obviously gaining momentum.
Well, it's been a very intriguing experience to meet you today and to look at all of this. And I must say, you've said a number of times now that it did happen, and given the number of people involved and given your dedication to getting this story out, there is little question in this reporter's mind that it did indeed happen. Thank you so much for your time.
Absolute pleasure, and I hope we do find something in the future. Thank you very much.
And in conclusion, I'd like to mention one more thing. This experience did have consequences for these witnesses immediately after it took place, and also years into the future. There were a number of government officials, people who did not identify themselves, at least according to the witnesses, Colin and others. 2 women and 3 men who interrogated some of the children individually, questioned everybody overall, and then once everything was done, they told them to treat this event as if it had never happened, to move on with their lives and never discuss it again. And for 40 years, that appears to have worked. But now that they have started talking, there are, of course, those who have been critical, those who have chosen to believe that this is some sort of colossal hoax. And there is one particular individual who has come out and said that he faked the whole thing, made up the story, and convinced all of the rest of the witnesses that it actually happened, that none of them actually saw anything. And when this individual put himself in front of the camera to tell this story, it was extremely upsetting to many of the witnesses. Some of them were traumatized by this event. It brought back all of the bad memories of how they weren't believed in years past, how they had kept silent, and perhaps they should have remained silent this whole time. It's important to remember that these are human beings, people who didn't cook up some kind of scheme, people who didn't make up some kind of far-fetched story for temporary fame. Because why would you have done this 40 years after the fact, after all these years of silence? No, I can only come to one conclusion. These witnesses saw something extraordinary on this day, something that remains unexplained, and something that should be investigated further. Thank you very much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, stay angry about space.